Please be seated. Thank you. Our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Dr. Edouard Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, the Chief Executive Officer of the Rwanda Development Board, Ms. Claire Kamanzi, Honorable Jean de Dieu Rurangirwa, Minister of ICT, Republic of Rwanda, honorable ministers here present, other government officials here present, Ambassador José Brito, co-founder and co-director of the Africa Innovation Summit, ambassadors here present, heads of delegations here present, Dr. Olubenga Adesida, co-founder and co-director at the Africa Innovation Summit, Professor Carlos Lopez, former Executive Secretary at UNECA, Mrs. Cristina Duarte, former Minister of Finance, Planning and Public Administration of Cabo Verde, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, Chief Executive Officer of NEPAD Agency, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, former Federal Minister of Education, Nigeria, William Asiko, Chief Executive Officer of GROW Africa, Dr. Vera Songwe, Executive Secretary of UNECA, Dr. Donald Kaberuka, former President of the African Development Board, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second edition of the Africa Innovation Summit here in Kigali, Rwanda. I'll just go through the day's program. After this, we'll have Ambassador Brito and Dr. Lubenga who will address us. We'll have an introduction by Eric Simbarashe, who's one of our finest innovators here in the room. We'll have welcome remarks by the Honorable Jean de Dieu Rurangirwa, who's the Minister of ICT of the Republic of Rwanda. We'll then introduce our guest of honor today, the Right Honorable Edouard Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, who will give us his remarks. Then after that, we'll head, the Prime Minister will be taking his leave. As he leaves, we'll take a 15-minute break. And then we'll move on to the next plenary, which will be called Innovation Africa, Challenges and Opportunities. After that, we'll have, of course, parallel workshops at the same time. After the lunch, we'll have Africa's Future, Building a Resilient and Competitive Economy panel. And of course, we'll also have parallel workshops at that time of the day. My name is Regis Isheja. I'll be your Master of Ceremonies today. Now, just to remind you again, as the Prime Minister leaves, remember that we'll be taking a 15-minute break before the following plenary. Now, what has gathered us here is to push innovation in our continent forward. We're here to talk business, and we mean business. I was being briefed earlier, and someone told me that this might be, even if I'm seeing a couple of papers here in the room, but this might be the first paperless summit that's taking place here on the continent. We do not want any brochures, we do not want any literature. We want people to look each other in the face. We want to look at each other in the face. We want to have real and serious conversations. We want to talk about innovation and how we can further our continent. And innovation is at the heart of it. And we're not just talking about innovation in ICT, because that's what we usually do, right? We're talking about innovation in health, in agriculture. We're talking about innovation in energy and much, much more. As I said earlier, this is the second edition of the Africa Innovation Summit. The first one took place 4 years ago in Cabo Verde. And His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, was invited by former President Pedro Pires. And both are basically champions of innovation here on our continent. Comme vous savez, le Cap-Vert est un petit pays, est une petite île, mais c'est un pays avec un grand peuple. Applaudissez pour ce peuple, s'il vous plaît. Et nous sommes ici justement pour faire avancer non seulement l'innovation, mais faire avancer l'agenda de notre continent. Nous sommes ici pour que l'Afrique puisse vraiment sortir de sa situation. Et nous allons en parler pendant 3 jours. Innovators are the ones on the field. They need to be put at the center of the summit. So we'll be talking about innovators only here. We'll talk about access to funding for innovators. That's what we hope will be also the outcome, of course. There's an awareness that's needed, but we'll be putting innovators to the forefront of our conversations here. Nous allons adresser les problèmes fondamentaux, nous allons nous pencher dessus. Dans la salle ici, nous avons un prix Nobel de la paix. We have people here who save the planet on a daily basis, who have made it their mission. So again, this will not be a protocol-heavy oriented summit. Now, we need to thank 2 people, and we really need to clap for them. Those are Ambassador José Brito, who's a former minister for Cap Verde, an ambassador, of course, and Dr. Olubenga Adesida, who consistently has assisted governments in tackling many issues. They're the ones at the forefront of this project, so if we could please give them a hand of applause. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Dr. Lubenga, Ambassador Brito, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Bon dia et bonjour. And Ekaro Akwaba.
Okay, His Excellency Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, dear Claire Akamanza, the CEO of Rwanda Development Board, His Excellency Minister of Education, Her Excellency Minister of Health, dear members of Advisory Board, thank you for coming to honor us with your presence. Thank you also for all of you who are here. We want to have a productive conference, and we start with a challenge. It's a challenge to manage time. We take some time now, and we need to be creative to resolve this problem of time, but I am sure that you will collaborate in this managing of time. Even normally, we know that the team we have to discuss needs more time to go, but thank you for your cooperation. I would like to let my partner, Jacob, we call him Jacob, it's easier for us, Olubenga. It is a marriage between a big country that is Nigeria and the smaller country of Africa is Cape Verde. So this is what we want really to show, that even a small country and big country, we can make a difference when we come together to resolve the problem of the continent. It is an event that we think by African, for African, by a small company of Cape Verde, IABA, and with this, we want to show that, yes, it is possible. I don't say yes, you can, because it's already taken. But let Jacob to say a few words to present IES.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again. Honorable Prime Minister, thank you for honoring us with your presence. And thank you, honorable ministers, diplomats, and deputies, and all the distinguished members of the audience this morning. Thank you very much for being here. What we are trying to do, essentially, with the IES is to build an African movement. For the longest time, our continent has been marred by difficult issues, difficult challenges. In recent months, you've seen that some of even our own citizens on the continent are selling others as slaves. And what led to this? If you think back, it's partly because of the issues we face, the lack of jobs for the youth, hunger, the lack of access to water, lack of access to opportunities. And what we are trying to do with the IES is to begin to see how we can get Africans together, stakeholders from the policy-making angle, the academics, people in the NGO community, the activists, and the citizens, and the young innovators, to begin to see how we can think through our problems, reflect on these issues, and see how we can innovatively resolve them. So this is an innovation summit that is not just tech. We are beyond tech. Innovation is a lot beyond technology and science, but science and technology is important. It's a critical element in the mix. And so that's what we are trying to do. Engage and ensure that we mobilize the population to be part of this process. And we hope you can be part of this dream, and that we can help us make it happen. We want everybody to lead from their own respective corners, and let us come together to get this done. Let me stop here because we've lost some time. And what we have to do, I think, as we go forward in the next plenary, is to begin to see how we can save some time to be able to catch up. We don't want to cut any part of the program, but it's crucial that we discuss some of these issues. But we have to see how we can creatively cut some of the time. For example, the lunch time was long to allow people for networking. I think we have to reduce that to about 45 minutes. But we stop now, so we don't take time of the Prime Minister and the distinguished members. But afterwards, we re-announce some of the times and the schedule to change the program so we can at least meet our objectives for the day. Thank you very much.
It's the day of innovator.
Yeah, oh, okay, yeah. Yes.
So this conference is also a conference from youth, and we have to have also representative in this opening session. And we will ask, I don't know his name.
Simba from Zimbabwe.
From Zimbabwe, and to speak for the innovators. We have the exhibit here. 50 innovators was chosen to be here, and we would like to have one of them very briefly. I ask Samba to be very brief, but before I would like to acknowledge also the presence of the Minister of ITC with us. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. My name is Simba Muriro. I'm from the company called Oxygen Energy. It's a renewable energy startup in Zimbabwe. First of all, I'd like to apologize. I took my shoes off. I learned this from a colleague called Sam Hurst, and it sort of helps me relax when I public speak. Basically, when we talk of innovation, I'm going to keep it short and down to 3 points. Governments, more regulation or less regulation. To the youth, the innovators out there, we need to work in teams. It's a big opportunity, and we can only take this opportunity together as a team. And as well as the case of Africa's development, if we're going to answer questions of youth development, youth employment, Africa's future, capital flight, this can only be achieved through enterprise. So the innovations that we have here in this room should be translated to tomorrow's big business. tomorrow's captains of industry that can in turn employ our youth and provide more tax dollars for Africa's development. So when I begin to speak of government, there's no point in us youth innovating if we can't have local funding to basically bring our products to market. So we ask our governments to basically look at the regulations that they place on financial institutions, your banks, your pension funds, your provident funds, and your asset managers. Do we really allow them to invest in innovations, to invest in startups, to take risk on the youth? Do we have laws in place that have got a local venture capital community? We have a lot of innovators in the room that may go and seek venture capital from the West, from Europe, or from Asia. What about money here on the continent? Local innovations can only be local if the benefits are realized in Africa. We need to have a generation of businesses that are funded locally with local resources so that we retain capital flight and so that we can also build Africa's future. And then to my fellow innovators out there, events like AIS are important for you to establish partnerships. Partnerships in two senses. If you've got similar innovations in health, bring those innovations together to create scale. Don't go to a DBSA, Africa Exim Bank, Africa Development Bank, and ask for 3 million. Go to them and ask for 30 million, for 300 million. But you can only do that if you work together. Work with other partners in other countries. Take your innovations to different markets. And let's be quite frank. As innovators, we're not exactly the best entrepreneurs, right? We know how to design a system, how to solve a problem. But do we know how to create a business? So let's take the example of successful partnerships and innovations that change the world. Look at the Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller partnered with Cornelius Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt gave him concessionary rates for transporting his oil. Rockefeller filled his trains with oil. Look at Thomas Edison in my industry, electricity. He had a fantastic invention, but if it wasn't for J.P. Morgan that made it into a business, we wouldn't have electricity today. Look at Nikola Tesla, who invented electricity, but the AC type of electricity. He had George Westinghouse, an entrepreneur. So if we look at these people today, they changed the way we live today. And right now, because of their enterprise and innovation and working together with other entrepreneurs, we're sitting in here and they've funded the Africa Innovation Summit. So in closing, what would I like to see? I would hope to see that game-changing innovations that will be showcased during the summit, when we go to next year, they will lead to financial closure. It would be good if we meet again next year and say, look, of the 50 innovations that we showcased in AIS 2008, come 2009, 25 went to market, and probably 10 or 15 are successful businesses. If you look at my industry, electricity, and this is why I always stress the point of local innovations for us by us. The largest IPP in Africa is Globalec, which is 70% owned by CDC Group and the remaining owned by Norfund. We've got a fantastic opportunity to solve Africa's energy problems, but how many IPPs or innovators or businesses out there are locally driven as Africans, or most importantly, are driven by the youth? So think about it to our leaders sitting in front. 20 years from now, how will you explain to us when most of us innovators are employees instead of the entrepreneurs driving the development of our continent? In closing, these are my words. Thank you very much for having me, and I wish all the entrepreneurs or innovators the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Simba. That was very refreshing. Now I'll ask the Honorable Minister of ICT of the Republic of Rwanda, the Honorable Jean de Dieu Rurangirwa, to please give us his remarks. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister honorable ministers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Over the last decade, Africa has been experiencing rapid technological and economic development, creating new opportunities for millions of people all over the continent and beyond. However, with more than 200 million people aged between 15 to 24, Africa has the youngest population and the highest youth unemployment rate in the world, globally. Lack of employment, low level of education and skills, combined with limited access to funding, have resulted in generation of young people with almost no association to the formal job market. Time and time again, we are realizing that innovation is our only way out. But we will not realize economic gain of innovation without putting in place conducive environment, as well as investing in research and development, both industrial and fundamental. Africa Innovation Summit could not come to Kigali at a better time. Take some time and meet the young innovator, and most importantly, indulge in different conversations and discussions that have been planned thanks to the effort of the team behind this wonderful event. I had the opportunity to visit the innovation exhibition. I urge you to take your time and engage with innovators. They are really coming up with African solutions. Without further delay, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Government of Rwanda to deliver his keynote address. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to stand here on behalf of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, who had wished to personally participate in this important second Africa Innovation Summit, but was not able due to unforeseen circumstances. He conveys to you all his best wishes and warm welcome to Kigali, our capital city. His Excellency, the President Paul Kagame, also asked me to inform you of his full commitment to the goal and objectives of this summit. I'm told we have delegates from all over Africa and many other parts of the world to explore and seek new and innovative ideas to address the pressing challenges facing Africa, build robust ecosystem for innovation, to identify innovators to scale up their startups, and to initiate thinking on how to build Africa Innovation Summit into marketplace to drive innovations across the continent. These are important issues for our continent as Africa continues to be extremely affected by these challenges that affect our people's quality of life and our development in general. Business as usual approach has not worked. We Africans must find approaches to overcome these challenges. Africa has, over the past decade, consistently invested in infrastructure development, agriculture, conducive policy, and the regulatory environment to attract private sector. Despite this, Africa has not been able to leverage the private sector as an engine for transformation that is needed to make up for its delay in development and expand economic opportunities for its youth. The fact is, the only way to overcome this and other challenges facing African countries is innovation. We must innovate. We must build robust ecosystems for innovation. Innovation is increasingly seen in today's world as the means to achieving the long-held goal of structural transformation and socio-economic development on the continent. I'm therefore happy to note that IHARBA, Business Development Organization based in Cape Verde, through its facilitation platform and engagement in building an environment that is conducive for innovation in Africa, is helping our prospective countries to build a culture of innovation and make it a way of life. This will transform our private sector and create much needed opportunities for our young people. As part of the country's effort across Africa to meet the challenges of limited economic and structural transformation, most of African governments have begun to take innovation as a critical element of their development. Countries are creating national support institutions for innovation, including development, innovation policy, and strategies. And in many countries, technology and innovation hubs have been created to take advantage of mobile technology to resolve problems, fuel economic growth and development. In Rwanda, for example, we are making strides to build a robust ecosystem for innovation in order to help our country meet its aspiration toward achieving a knowledge-based economy. We are investing in education from primary, secondary, vocational trainings to university education. In addition, we are building partnership with some of the elite education institutions in the world to locate campuses in Rwanda. We have also created a conducive legal and regulatory framework for doing business, invested in infrastructure, and improved the health system. All these have created innovative activities in the country. I am pleased to share with you that we will be officially launching our National Research and Innovation Fund early next week that we believe will serve as a major research funding vehicle through which research and research-based innovation activities will be supported to address key needs of our country. The effort of Rwanda to bridge gaps in innovations are being observed in many other African countries. These efforts need to be strengthened and streamlined. I have no doubt that resolution and recommendation from this summit will play a key role in this process. In conclusion, I would like to give a special recognition to the innovators participating in this summit. They represent the best that Africa has to offer. They are the future. I also thank IHARBA and its partners for having organized this second Africa Innovation Summit and for having chosen Rwanda as venue. To the participants in this summit, Rwanda is your home and Rwanda is your reliable partner. With these remarks, I have the honor, on behalf of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, to declare the second Africa Innovation Summit officially open. I wish you fruitful deliberation and thank you for your kind attention.
Right, Honorable. If we could stay on the stage, and then everybody that's supposed to be in the official photograph, please come forward. So we could do that. In the meantime, there's a video that will be playing to welcome everybody here to the Africa Innovation Summit. Let's proceed with the picture on stage, please. Everybody, please stay seated. Everybody else. There's a video that will be playing now, welcome video to the Africa Innovation Summit. It's also important to mention that this is being streamed live in Johannesburg and Addis Ababa, where there's a satellite summits taking place. Satellite summits taking place in Joburg, South Africa, and Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, organized by MSTT and DST. Also important to recognize our sponsors. The principal sponsors are the Rwanda Convention Bureau, the Rwanda Development Board. Our titanium sponsors are the EU Commission, the NEPAD Transforming Africa. Our gold sponsors are Africa and Bank, Africa Development Bank of Southern Bank, Government of Luxembourg. Our silver sponsors are SIDA, USAWA, and YAS. Our bronze sponsors are Badia, La Francophonie, PATH, and Turkish Airlines. Thank you to the photographers. Thank you to our guests. Thank you very much. Right Honorable Prime Minister, thank you very much. Please remain seated as our guest of honor exits the room, please. Thank you.
The future of Africa is here. Innovation is the catalyst to Africa's most pressing problems, and through innovation, Africa can find solutions for climate change, food scarcity, energy shortages, natural resource management, health inadequacy, education challenges, and economic transformation. The Africa Innovation Summit is back. Delegates will create connections that yield real results.
With us here also
to Africa's most challenging problems. We seek solutions by Africans and for Africans. Interact with government leaders, innovators, investors, entrepreneurs, international organizations, and innovation champions. More than 50 innovators and exhibitors from across Africa will share their groundbreaking solutions in our world-class innovation exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, welcome to the 2018 Africa Innovation Summit.
We also have with us here from Europe the Director of Research and Innovation, Cristina Russo, with us here today. I'm omitted to introduce her. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll now ask Aiden Eyakuze to please come forward for the following plenary. Before that, though, we have a 15-minute break, so please use that time wisely. We'll be back here in 15 minutes. My name is Regis Isheja. Thank you very much.